Good afternoon to everyone. I thought it would be a good idea to meet you and take a bit stock of what has been done these last 10 years. I have been appointed 4 years ago as counter-terrorist coordinator by Javier Solana, but I have been involved in justice and home affairs for these last 16 years. So I've not only witnessed, but be part of all this huge change to make Europe more secure and to provide more justice. I'll try not to be long and keep more time for Q&A. Of course, I will start. It is just not rhetoric. It's really deep into my heart for expressing deep sympathy for the victims, all the victims, civilian and military, from all sorts of terrorist attack. Of course, the AQ Al-Qaeda related terrorism, but not only that. We've had a terrible attack in Norway in July. We still have in Europe separatist terrorism still ongoing. We still have some remnants of the IRA. We have, it may look a bit minor, but it might evolve left-wing, right-wing extremism, separatist, I already mentioned that, but animal rights, anarchism, we've seen that in the southern part of Europe. Through these people, through the civilians, it's of course the society at large which is targeted. And that's why I keep saying that for terrorism, we have to support the society, owe to the victims additional support. It applies also to the military as well. We are engaged, many of our member states are engaged in several parts of the world. Afghanistan is obvious, but we're helping developing, securing peace in Lebanon and other places in the world. And some of our soldiers are also victims of this. The main finding, and that's the good news, is the real failure of the AQ Al-Qaeda project. Not only have we had the death of Osama bin Laden, which has further degraded the organization some months ago, but the Arab Spring came as the clear demonstration of the complete irrelevance of Al-Qaeda rhetoric. I won't repeat what we have said many times, but just the fact that people were peacefully demonstrating in the street to get rid of autocratic government, to ask for more democracy, more freedom, for the respect for human rights, for the reduction of corruption, and not using violent means or any reference to AQ is in itself just a sign of the complete failure of Al-Qaeda rhetoric. This being said, and the organization, the central organization, has been really degraded by our efforts in Afghanistan, the action of the Pakistani army, the drones attack by the Americans, by different means, especially reinforced cooperation worldwide, but we're still faced with a threat, but which is much more complex and much more diversified than it was 10 years ago, where we were really confronted with a very sophisticated organization. So I think we can say today that an attack of the scale and the sophistication than the one we have had on 9/11 probably is no longer possible. Does it mean that we are completely out of the threat? I don't think so. Unfortunately, the threat has evolved. But I've this week and these recent days been asked several times whether we were safer today than before. I can also say yes, of course, because of our response in Europe, in the member states, and I would say worldwide, has significantly improved. The threat has evolved. As I've said, it's more complex, more diversified. You know that we are now confronted with several franchises or affiliated groups of Al-Qaeda, which are much more dangerous than AQ Core, somewhere in Waziristan. AQAP is probably the most dangerous one, Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. it's a dangerous franchise for several reasons. First, for technical reasons, it's more probably the most sophisticated one. You remember they have tried several plots in recent past. We've had the attack against the Deputy Minister of Interior in Saudi Arabia. We've had the Detroit plot. We've had the cargo plot and several others. And of course, it's a significant threat for the country itself, not only Yemen, Saudi Arabia, but also on the other side of the strait. We might see some link developing with Al-Shabaab in Somalia. So AQAP, AQIM, which is pretty relevant for Europe, it's our backyard. It's a group which is mainly in Sahel, but which is more and more Africanized. They try to get in touch with the Boko Haram in the northern part of Nigeria, and you have seen the recent attack in Nigeria. They try to reach out to Al-Shabaab as well. They recruit more these days. They benefit of the events in Libya in terms of arms, in terms of fighters, and so it's a concern for us. We still have AQ in Iraq, still active, but more looking at Iraq itself and not worldwide, and in Caucasus as well, the Emirate of North Caucasus group, which might develop as well.